this year's Eurobest 2010 Integrated President. To talk to you today and ask us all, what do we really know, please welcome Linus.
Hello. I hope you guys are all doing good. If you're a little tired and want to take a nap, that's fine. I'm going to be fairly boring today. I have a little dilemma, I have to admit. Normally, which is not very often, when I do speak, I like to talk about stuff that I do, work and stuff. And currently I'm in between jobs. And so I kind of had to make up something to speak about. And I went home and thinking, well, what would I like to speak about? And I kind of had to make something up. Just a little bit about myself. I started my career in Sweden. I'm Swedish. At an agency called Karlsson that later became DDB and created work for, among others, Diesel Jeans, which took this little agency internationally. And in '96, me and my partner Paul Manström were recruited to Fallon in Minneapolis. And we had 7 absolutely wonderful years in the Midwest. And in 2003 we started an agency called Mother in New York, which has been a fantastic adventure. And the other week I decided to do something new, and I decided to join McCann in New York and London. So that's just a little bit about myself. I know there's been a little bit written about me lately, but I'm not going to talk anything about that. But I'm going to actually talk about something completely different. I'll talk about the research. And I think this is perhaps a little insight to who I am, because I love to go to places that makes me really scared. Because I think that really develops you as a person and creatively. And especially also judging work in many ways. It's been fantastic to sit in the jury here, the integrated jury, and share that with the discussions we've had, and with all the different kind of points of view, and figure out what is good. And I kind of found myself that I've been more and more interested in going places that I don't like, places that irritates me. Because it's so easy, I felt that you see something that you really like, and then that's it. And I found it more interesting to understand why I don't like things. So sometimes when we're working and see work on the wall, or and I go, oh, I don't like that, and then I kind of have to stop myself and say, why don't I like that? I want to understand why I don't like that. Actually, that's the direction we should go. How can you take this thing that you don't like and make it much, much more interesting? And a lot of times, I've found, that's when you really come up with really great, groundbreaking ideas. Because, I think you're kind of afraid of going there, and there's a reason for that. And I don't know exactly what that reason is, but I know that you should go there, and you should scare yourself, and you should not go the way where you feel comfortable. So I'm going to talk about research, which I know absolutely nothing about. I'm complete, I'm not a planner or a researcher or anything like that, but I decided to talk to you about research. And I'm going to do it in my way, because I think your research that, once again, it's too easy to dismiss as boring, not creative. And so I've been thinking kind of like, well, how can you make it creative? And I started thinking about, because there is a lot of research, involved in what we do every day. Both in the planning phases, in the creative phases, in testing, and all that kind of stuff, and you can't ignore it. So why not embrace it and say, actually, I like it, but I have to find my way to like it. How can I like it? And I've been thinking a little bit about what we know, and a lot of times, and this is kind of probably a 15-year-old thought, that a lot of times especially in Minneapolis, you sat at the desk and you got the brief in front of you, and you kind of puts out the goals and the insights and all that kind of stuff. And then there was one little thing that talks about the target. It was almost the same, always the same. It was these words about someone, a guy or a woman or someone who was, and it just felt like, who is this person? I don't really understand. So I'm going to explore it a little bit because it's always annoyed me. This person, it talks about, you put up all the social demographic of this person, but still I have a really hard time to know who it is. And I'm a writer from the beginning, and I love to know who I'm writing to. And if someone, says to me, yeah, this person is 27 to 38 years old, very curious, blah, 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 doesn't tell me really anything who I'm writing to. I need to have a little bit more of a clearer picture and a more kind of nuanced picture of this person. So I do believe, well, I'll make a little side note. Everything I want to say here today is absolutely true. Because this is all about, this is going to be based on research that I've done. But it could also be completely baloney, completely crap. You decide that. We are born unique and spectacular, all of us in the beginning. We're very naive and we're fantastic little human beings. Maybe. Are we? Maybe. I think so. However, when we work, we're always looking for the lowest common denominator in people. And that's just been a little puzzling to me. I think I understand why, and it's mainly driven by how we purchase media, how we measure media, how we measure results and impact. We don't care about individuals. We don't care about an individual person being spectacular or wonderful, because that's not important. Because we come from a world, we're in the middle of a world transitioning from mass media to one-on-one media and all kinds of stuff. We know all that stuff about the long tail and stuff, and that's a big thing. I know there is a lot of discussions about technology and what's happening in technology and with media. It's happening at such a rapid speed, and that's all great. But we need to include people in the conversation too. I know it sounds like the biggest cliche in the world, but we have to be interested in people in all of this, because it's not just about software and technology and what you can do with technology. It's beautiful, but if we're not interested in people at the same time, we're not going to understand what we're doing. So obviously, not just our industry, but the world in its economic system has been built upon this, this bell curve, which is the way we looked at commercialism has been, you have the early adapters, then you have the mainstream, and you have the laggards, and those are the guys, yes, you get the picture, that's what it says up there, those are the guys that are buying DVDs right now, that thinks DVDs are really, really cool. In the mainstream, which is, if you're a big global company, of course you want to be in the mainstream. Of course, so what you do is you have this, the bell curve, first of all, is an average. It's an average of how or whatever. So if you're a big global company, you take this and you start slicing and dicing the mainstream. Up and down with social demographics, how much facts that you can find about people, how old people are, where they live, what their income is, and all this kind of stuff. So you get this, somewhere in there, if you see this little dot, it's, it's this woman, Michelle. And this is what ends up, and this is kind of an abbreviated version of what I've seen a lot of when I work with huge, big clients, wherever. And I read it to you. Michelle is 27 to 38 years old, married with kids, always on the go, lives an active life, but finds it hard to juggle time between family and work. She doesn't have time for herself or her passions. Alright? That's normal. And when you Google businesswoman struggling between work and life, you get 38,800,000 images kind of looking like this. Which is fascinating. And we are stereotyping. We're completely stereotyping. So we don't, if you go back to that picture with the woman with no face, we don't really know that much. Alright? I think it's kind of interesting which kind of bothers me is that we don't know that much. We don't know anything of interest of these people that we're talking to, and we're not finding what makes them unique. If we believe that everybody's born unique and spectacular, and that's the question. So I think you have to ask yourself, do I believe that everyone is born unique and spectacular, or not? And there's two options to that story. Because this woman, Michelle, who, remember, she's 27 to 38 years old, she's married with 2 kids, and she finds it hard to juggle work and family life. It could be this woman. Or it could be this woman. It could be this woman. The only thing we know about that statement, about the target, about Michelle, is that it's, oh yeah, of course, it could be this lonely woman at the rainy airport, of course. The only thing we know about the statement about Michelle, the way it was written, is that it's not this guy. That's it. We know that, the problem with the statement is that it's pretty much everybody. And that's not where the world is going. The world is not going where everybody, is that. So, what I figured, I'll talk a little bit about something we started doing, that me and Paul started doing at Fallon, and we really kind of made it a little bit better during the years at Mother. We created a little study, which is basically, we were in a pitch, and we felt that we were newly started, and we were going to be at a disadvantage, and we know that all the other agencies are going to come with really cool research. We kind of know that the client liked that. And we were like, how can we come up with some cool research? So we sat down and talked about it, and we came up with this thing. Why can't we make some cool creative research? We came up with our own study, and this is kind of a description of the study. It's an online study. It's a survey with product-specific questions coupled with aptitudinal psychographic questions. And I'm going to show you all exactly what that is. The goal of the study is to uncover brand, and you're going to have, excuse me if I pronounce this word, idiosyncrasies, something like that. Uncharted target segments and strategic opportunity. So we're asking kind of strange questions coupled with really straight questions to people that we know. For example, if you're a software company, we know people that the recruitment of these people come from both the client database and they come from people that we find online. So we know that these people are, for example, if you drink a soft drink, they drink 6 or more soft drinks a week, or they don't drink it at all. So we kind of group them in different groups. All the questions are intentionally more provocative and less linear than traditional research, relying heavily on behavioral eccentricities and pop culture questions. We call the study qualitative, and it's actually statistically accurate. So this is the boring part. I'm going to tell you kind of a little bit what the study is. In other words, it's amateur psychology, and I would also call it maybe amateur strategic planning, kind of combined into one. And then the kind of the goal is like, which I find so fascinating is, there's a word in America, in England, maybe, or everywhere, quirks. And I think this word is a little interesting, because a quirk is kind of a fun little thing you do. And on a side note, I'd love to ask, especially when you're starting a new relationship with a client, or in a pitch situation where you have an opportunity a lot of times you have an opportunity to ask them questions. And I always love to ask the question, hey, tell me, is there any little quirks that you guys have? Any funny thing that you guys do that's, that we don't know about? And sometimes we get a little good answer, but most of the time they say, nope, we don't have any quirks. We don't do any funny things. Absolutely no funny things. But do you do anything different than any other company? Any little thing? Nope. Come on. You don't do anything different from every other company? Oh, yeah. We are very different from every other company.
So let's talk about that. Why are you different? What's your little thing that you do? You go the lunch break. You have a little lunch card and you go out. Do you talk? Do you play pool? Do you go skiing together? Or do you do anything funny? So it's a little cool thing because those little weird things that we do, it's a whole door into something really beautiful. And I was thinking a little bit about, and I don't know anything about detectives or solving crimes, but I've read enough Kurt Wallander books that I know that he always goes into a crime scene looking for what doesn't seem normal. What is it? What doesn't fit the picture? And I like that methodology. What's wrong here? And that's kind of cool. So that's a quirk. And that could be, perhaps, or maybe not, the solution to a big... the definition of a quirk is, it's pretty good. I just pulled this from the web. An individual peculiarity of character, mannerism. And I think that's exactly what it is. And I think we all should be curious to find what those peculiarities are, what they are. And less curious about how you can group people in big groups and put big general interest labels on it. It's also an unexpected twist or turn, and that's exactly what we want. That's what we're doing. We are finding great creative ideas, big ideas, small ideas, interesting ideas that excites people. And this is exactly what excites people. So we need to go there. So back to the study. And we've done this now the study's been done for about 6 years. There's been a few questions that has always been in the study. And what's interesting with that is now those questions you can start actually see you get a little bit of history of the question. And that question, this is one of those questions that we asked for all the brands that we've done this study. We asked, if you had a superpower, which one would it be? Would it be super strength, invisibility, X-ray vision, telepathy, or flying? Those be the same all the time. Another type of question is more of pop culture questions, just to kind of get an idea where they're at, with their head. And a few years ago for a client we asked, are you planning to see the new Borat movie? And in this particular case, almost everybody was planning to see it. We asked some behavioral questions. So this is all mashed up, with like, how many blah 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 do you drink a week, or X, Y, and Z. So, and this one is, you have ever had threesome. And this was asked for a spirits company. And that's, I think, why the high number of people. What you also know from these questions is that people are lying. For certain kind of categories, you would, in a particular question like this, it's kind of cool to say that you had a threesome. And we know that that's not true, because probably the act right in between this, the little gray thing there and the yellow one. Then we have self-perception questions. And this is amazing to me. Do you think you're funny? Most people of every brand, most people that we know, including all of us, think we're funny. I'm definitely not funny. I'm in the missing percent there. But the other question is, could you be famous if you wanted to? This is also a majority of people, over 75%, believe that they could be famous if they really wanted to. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. I don't know. I find it so fascinating that we don't know. And that is the beauty of this. And because this is not true either. It's research. Could be true. This is what people think. This whole presentation is what I think. And it's true to me. It may be belong to you. Interesting. Another we ask general awareness questions. Do you know the significance of Darfur? This is, of course, I have in mind, put like one filter on this. This is North America. Less than 20% knew the significance of Darfur. And this was asking the question while George Clooney was out campaigning for it and everything was happening at the same time. So, and then you asked at the same time we asked, have you ever voted for American Idol? And this is just this is more sad that people are more engaged in American Idol than they are in actually caring about what's happening in Africa and in Sudan. And then we ask really random questions too, like this. How many here thinks this picture is funny? Okay, I would say like 17%. 17.5. I think it's fun, actually. I'm not exactly sure what it says, and I think it's gonna. It's also kind of curious that the shape is kind of a heart in the middle, with a big finger. We worked for a number of years with a brand for Coke called Full Throttle, and this is I'd say probably 6 years ago when they launched Full Throttle in North America. And at the time, this is a time where the energy drink market was just very kind of new, and Red Bull had just, they were massive. I think they had 65% of the market. They were the new thing. So Coke really quickly, they wanted to launch their Full Throttle brand, but do it a little differently. And we got the brief, and the brief said that this is an energy drink for hard-working blue-collar guys. Okay, once again, you have a brief that doesn't really, wow, who is this guy? So because when you talk about blue-collar guys, working-class guys, there's all kinds of guys. They're not one type of guy. Probably 1/4 of the world is blue-collar people. It's if you look up to the left there, this is a guy who works in a factory. He's a dad. He goes to work, works really hard, loves it. Doesn't make that much money, but has a great family life. He's a really cool guy. Next to him, you have what you could call maybe a redneck. Doesn't care much, doesn't really work much. He likes to go mud riding in his truck. Or is it the kind of a Texas cowboy type of guy? Or is it your typical sorry? Or is it your typical sports fan? And you can kind of substitute these for any similar types in wherever you come from. We have them in Sweden, there are in England, there are in Germany, and all kinds of stuff. But it's you have to kind of start. So we were kind of interested in who is this drink for? And we did this research, and we found out one thing that was so key. And this is kind of, it's not just weird questions, it's actually questions about, we recruited people who drinks this stuff. And we found out the heavy users, the people that drink 6 or more cans a week, are 50% more likely to have been in a fist fight. So all of a sudden, you have this kind of general description of a person. All of a sudden you go, oh, I know that guy. Shit, he's that douchebag at school. I know exactly what that is. So all of a sudden you can go back and you can go like, I can write down for this guy, asshole. And so all of a sudden you have this little thing, and all of a sudden you have a very clear picture of exactly what you're talking to. It's the guy that gets drunk, he gets in a fucking fight, and all the stuff. Really cool. And a little side note, I had an opportunity actually I ran into a professor who was also from Cornell University, upstate New York, and we were talking about this kind of stuff, and he told me a story. Linus, you're making it way too complicated. Why do you need to have a study for this? He said, it's really simple. I said, what do you mean? He said, when it comes to guys and blue-collar guys, it's a really simple way to tell them apart. I said, what do you mean? He said, the way to determine if you're, he said, well, I start over. Working class guys, they're all about honor. If you're middle class and upper class, you're all about character. And I go, what do you mean about that? We said, well, working class guys, the most important thing you have as a working class guy is your word. You can get shit-faced, you can do this, but you keep your word. You got people's back, you show up on time, you do your work. That is really important, that's what you got. You are not necessarily the slickest guy in the world, but you got your word. You got people's back. And that's a really, that the honor thing is big. When you get more money, and you get affluent, the only thing that matters, or the main thing that matters, is character, meaning showing up on time, being polite, being nice guy. word all of a sudden doesn't mean so much. It's more about manners. And I thought that was kind of interesting, and that was a side note. We also found out in this study that, what we did for Red Bull, that Red Bull drinkers are overwhelmingly Democrats, which is, once again, I had no idea. And that is so interesting, that Red Bull drinkers are overwhelmingly Democrats, and this is once again America. And we did this during the election, the latest election in 2008. And we also found out that they were overwhelmingly for Hillary Clinton versus Obama, for example. And we found out also that Monster and Full Throttle are clearly Republicans. So just a quick thing, for other brands that, what happened. And we did this, I was telling you, when we created this, it was actually during the pitching Mini, which you didn't win. But one of the key, when we did this study, and we did this with only Mini owners, and they had 70% of Mini owners had the same superpower. That's, seriously, that is fucking cool. They all wanted to fly. It wasn't like, you think if you put 5 superpowers out there, it would like be 20-20-20. It's like, no. 70% of the same people who bought the same brand wants to fly. So that's kind of when we know that we're kind of onto something. We did the same thing for Target with suburban housewives. The clear majority of housewives in America wants to have a car. Nice. Awesome. A little sad, we did this for Teen Vogue. Majority of teen girls in America wants to be invisible. Probably because body, images and awareness of body images and stuff like that. And that's just the reality. That's where we're at. But it gives you a sense of where, all of a sudden you start taking a picture that's kind of like, all right, I understand. And this is, the last example is actually for Rembrandt toothpaste. And this is, we got this actually from primary research, meaning that research that we didn't do. And it's kind of an oxymoron. So we're like, on one hand, the research said, 100% almost of people, 99.2% in America believes smile is really important. And then 72% says, my smile is fine. And that's simply not true. That would be amazing. We know that's not true, because that's a complete contradiction. The reality is, people are in denial about their oral health. And I think the reason for that is that we've been so scared about our teeth. So the first thing you learn when you're a little kid, by your mom and dad, who you love the most, and they said it in the very most loving way, was, before you go to bed, you need to brush your teeth. And you did, and you went to bed. The first thing you did when you woke up was to brush your teeth. And you've done this your whole life. The real insight here is that you're afraid that something bad is going to happen to you if you don't do it. But you stop thinking about it. And that's why, it works with advertising. It's really recommended by these people because we feel very comfortable. If the dentist recommends us to do this, of course it's good. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. And this is just something we've gotten into. Could be true. It may not be true. I don't know. I think the kind of conclusion I want to make, and I think I made my point a little bit, but I think we are more complex and we're more layered than we acknowledge. And I think creatively, if you're creative, you should care about this, because it will affect the work that you do. The work that you do will be more interesting. When I say businesswoman with child, it's so easy to get that. Oh, I'm going to have a pinstripe woman with a BlackBerry and a kid on her thing. I mean, come on. Be more interesting than that. And this is what this can do. Think about, go where you don't want to go, find the quirks, find the things you don't know, and the work is going to be much cooler. And like I've been talking about, there's also, is this true? Is it false? There's always two sides to the story. When you get a brief, that's not true. It can be completely wrong. Part of it can be right or wrong. I don't know. But turn it upside down. The other side of this story that I said is that there is a huge force out there in planning that are saying that we are unspecial. And I think that's true. We are not special. At all. If you look at us as a herd, as a lot of people together, because we are very predictable. When it comes to consumption, we do the same things pretty much by 99.9%. We're not very surprising. Very few of us live a truly alternate lifestyle. That's kind of sad, but it's kind of good too. I love this. I think sometimes when we're working, and I feel myself getting too much into thinking about the brand. It's not about the brand. It's about you. The only thing that matters, and I'm not saying this is an advertising, I'm saying this is a consumer. Why we love some brands and why we don't love some brands. The only thing that matters is what that product makes you feel about yourself. And that's the brand. And I think that's what some brands have understood. I want to, I got one more minute. I just want to find, end with a little interesting thing. Of course, there's always two ways to see stuff. And I talked in the beginning about irritation and going to places that you fear. And I found this book. It was actually given to me by someone named Danielle Aubert. And she spent 16 months creating beautiful artwork from Excel spreadsheets. And he's made this book, which is absolutely gorgeous. And I think that's so amazing, because, okay, you go like, Excel spreadsheets, that's for accountants, that's boring. Actually, yes, it is. That's the one side of it. The other side of it is, actually, I'm going to be curious about it. I'm going to actually understand what the hell this is. What else can I do with it? So she did, and she spent 16 months creating really interesting work. I'm just going to show someone. Anyhow.